What you've just seen, or what you're seeing now, is actually there are not martial arts passed down in any samurai school. They have been dead for nearly 200 years, maybe more. And basically these were taken from some ancient documents that were in the possession of an ancient samurai family. And together with Krista Jacobson here and a few more, we are trying to bring together these skills and bring them back to life. Now we have Japanese translators working on them. They are from an ancient Japanese family, and we're trying to discover just what the original samurai did. These scrolls are from approximately the early 1600s. The skills are definitely from the very early 1600s, if not the late 1500s, and they were written down in about the 1670s. Now, what I'm going to do is explain why it's so difficult. So stay with the video, there's lots coming. So you see this one here, we're going to go through this first. Kasane Kiri, okay? And there is a problem with which way you can interpret the original text. One problem with ancient Japanese writing is that the grammar is quite difficult. So sometimes it'll talk about the skill first and then go through it in detail, but without really enough grammar to show you the difference between the two. And this isn't just for Westerners, this is Japanese people who find this really difficult. And you don't know whether it's talking about the original cut or another cut. So for example, in this one, we don't know if it's talking about a single cut done, and then it talks about that cut again, or there are two cuts. And not only that, when there are two cuts, we don't know which way the cuts go. So what I'm going to do is run you through this one more time, and you tell me what you think. It's called the stacking cut, basically, and there's one way to do it, which is pull this first hit and then backhand cut across the throat, okay? Then there's another way, which is first hit, get the sword out of the way, and then move in and cut. We just don't know which way it is. One of the most complicated in the scroll is this one, which is Yoru no Tachi, which is basically sword at night. And you see there how Krista's moving slightly to detect them. We don't know if that movement should be there or should not. I personally think it should be. Some of the Japanese translators think it shouldn't be. Some say they're not quite sure. And then there's this one, which is Sannin Tsume, which is the same technique but against multiple enemies, and you're doing it from basically from one side to the other. Now, this is difficult because the text is talking about the esoteric nature of the stars, the way they move, how they move across, and we just don't know if the stars are there to if this discussion on the stars is there to add depth and spirituality to it, or if it's how the stars move at night in a wheel-like action, the North Star being the right hand, and that's how the other stars, the left hand, move around it. That becomes really difficult to understand. Or how about this one, where it's the spear at night? Look at the way the spear is being gripped. It's not the normal way a spear is being gripped, but the actual text just says have the thumbs opposite each other. Now, we've come to the conclusion that it is this way. However, part of the Japanese translation team say they don't think so, but the other part think they do. We also don't know if the techniques are one-handed or two-handed. Here, Chotan is done with two hands, and then we've got the opposite where it's done with one hand. And it's just, you come slightly offline. We just don't know. However, this is the big bad boy. This one is the biggest problem. And I'm going to show you what in a minute. But we see you have here, we're in Seiza, which is literally kneeling, and then you roll back, bring your foot from underneath and kick them in the face, and then stab. Yep, that's one version. The second version, or an alternative version, is from Agora, sitting, kneeling. So again, Krista comes up, stops the hands from coming, and then is in a position to come back and hit in the face. This comes back to a really, really big problem in Japanese swordsmanship, is that how did samurai used to sit when they spoke to each other? Did they sit cross-legged like this gentleman here who's senior, whereas the other guy, he's inferior and he sits with his knees down? Did they all sit with their knees down in what's called seiza? Or did, in the earlier times, they sit with their legs crossed because it was informal? So kneeling down is formal and sitting down is informal. Now, many of the pictures show us different situations, be it formal, informal. It's very difficult to understand what people were doing in the early Edo period or the Sengoku period. It's a real struggle to understand. So we have to rely on, what makes more realistic sense in the technique. And Krista shows here that both can be done. Now, that could simply mean that it can be done from both ways. But that's not even the end of the story. There's problems with the text. Let me show you. So here's one of the big problems. If you look there on the left, one of the kanji, this means foot, has been struck out and replaced with a different one, sort of a where kanji. So the problem we got here is that the original writer wrote that you should strike with the foot, but somebody has come along later and crossed that out. Now, is that a master saying to his student, no, you've got that wrong, this is what you should be writing? Or is it someone later on crossing that out and writing this in? It looks like the same, to be honest, it looks like the same handwriting, but you know, that gets quite difficult. So that adds another problem. Do you strike with the foot? Do you not strike with the foot? Is it sat down in Seiza? Is it sat down in Agora? We just don't know. For the minute, though, we're going to go with the original one, which is actually to, you know, strike with the foot, but it could change. I want to be very, very clear that all of these could change, because as we do more research and we're finding more scrolls and we're translating more scrolls, the bits come into play. But I want to keep you guys aware. Now, I am coming up to nearly 50. I've shattered both my knees. I can just about sit down and just about. So I've asked these two lovely ladies from Richmond Dojo in America, in Michigan, to go through this for me, and they've been wonderfully doing it with Nick Mayer, who's been helping out there and his cameraman, and I've asked them to try both. So you've just seen them there doing it kneeling down, and now they're going to try it from sitting cross-legged. We're going to see how well it does with two lightweight ladies there who are probably very close to Japanese original Japanese people at probably about 5 foot, 5'4", something like that. So much shorter than me. So let's see how it goes with a standard kodachi there. So again, you can see it can be done quite well. Obviously, in reality, you would throw yourself back there. That would be absolutely thrown back. But we don't know where the person is in the strike. The person might be coming overhead. They might be coming side on. But it does just say intercept their arms, basically. So it's not that difficult. You intercept their arms. So thank you very much to these ladies from Richmond. They are very, very good, and they've done very, very well. And thank you to Richmond Dojo. And we'll go back now over to Krista. So just to remind you, all of this comes from Muhyo Shiryu, which is from the Hagihara family there, and you can see their official crest. And Krista Jacobson has been doing a great job helping me interpret these, and myself, Krista, and a few people from around the world are going to try and bring these skills back to life, so you'll be able to join courses and join them. And it doesn't matter what you think of me, what you think of Krista, what you think of either Nick or anybody like that, or Richmond Dojo or anything, it doesn't matter. These are all coming from original documents, and we have Japanese translators, three people working on the Japanese translation. Of course, not everybody agrees, and we all have to come up with multiple versions. Some of the versions here have not been shown because we're still working on them, and again, it's subject to change. But my point being here is we're as close as we can possibly get at the moment. And when I say subject to change, I mean very little change. Like, you stop there and you may or may not strike in the face. You might strike with your hand. We're not quite sure. But it's not too much of a difference. And of course, a lot of these will be exactly as they're meant to be. Or in this situation, you might not spin your blade like that. You might just wait for someone to come. But we're getting to the bottom of that. Okay, guys, I want you to know my name is Antony Cummins, and I am the author of multiple books. And for this, you can get some of these skills, or the skills from this school, in a book called The Lost Samurai School. And I would love you to get a copy of that. But also, I've got my new book out, which is which is Zen and the Samurai Sword, and that's on pre-order now at the time this video is going up. So please get yourself a copy, subscribe to Krista, and I hope to see you all soon and read your comments.
Okay, these are the Stewart girls, Ruthie and Lily. Hey, just so you know, for the video, will you please mention their names, Ruth and Lily Stewart from Richmond Dojo. I'd really appreciate that. Please go take a bow.